Is this thing on? What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle here,
Chad,
and we are going to give you a 2023 update and walk around of our Frontiers here at All Dogs Off-Road Co-op.
Yeehaw!
Start off, I own a 2015 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X. Currently has a Titan swap on it, suspension-wise. Has an M205 front diff. Also a 1-inch body lift on it, and I will give you quick walk around. We'll go into detail about everything I have. So 2.5 remote res Fox shocks front and rear with a ADO 550 universal coil on it. The wheels I'm running are our ADO RB6 16-inch wheels in the bronze color, and then tire is a 285 75 16 Mickey Thompson Baja MTZP3 mud terrain. So far they've been good. They are noisy, obviously, for mud terrain, but they are definitely quieter than the Coopers I ran before. They've worn pretty well, and as always, they do great off-road. So now we will step around to the front of the truck and we'll go over some stuff there. So stepping around to the front, coastal off-road bumper and skid plate. This is a custom unit that I had ordered the center section for coastal. If you email them, and if you want a hybrid bumper, since there's not really any companies that offer one, you can buy the center section and then modify tubing as you want. This is just 2 1/4 inch tubing that we had in the shop, and they are capped on ends with caps from ballistic fab. So to go from there, just basic D-rings on it, and then Baja Design SAE fog lights that I have wired into the factory switch. You know, sorry about the trains. You might get that throughout this video. We're close to a BNSF train yard. So as we covered in a previous video, I have the Acon branded eBay lights that were on sale, currently sold out. I have upgraded the low beams to an LED. I've tried 2 different sets of LEDs in them, and while they're not great, they still are better than just the standard halogens it comes with. And to go along with the bumper and the skid plate from Coastal, I'm also running a Sphere aluminum skid plates underneath. So as mentioned before, running the Fox 2.5s front and rear. Go over the rest of the oddball suspension. SPC upper control arms. I'm running OE style lower control arms from Titan. I do have our ADO weld washer kit on it, and then I'm also running our ADO cam lockout kit for the lower cam bolts. With what we do down at Tuttle, it's super rocky and it's super easy to knock your alignment out if you don't have them in there. It's just a safe bet to run those with SPCs. Worst case, you move the SPC ball joint forward or back, get your alignment back. As for performance mods, there's not a lot on the truck. I'm running an AFE intake with the snorkel. That was a little bit of a pain to get to work together, but we made it happen. I'm also running an XTP intake manifold spacer. People say online they'll fight all day long over whether the intake manifold spacer works or not. For me, it worked. I could tell. Obviously not much more performance or fuel mileage, but it did move the torque band enough to where the truck does not downshift to get up to highway speeds anymore. It just stays in its gear better, is what I try to tell people. So for me personally, I found it to work. Other people may say it won't, but we'll continue on around the rest of the truck. Now to the back of the truck. Currently, as for setup, I have like I said, Fox 2.5 remote res rear shock. I'm running our ADO Broverland leaf pack with a PRG adjustable shackle for suspension. Billy bars for my bed bar setup. The reason I went with Billy bars is because you can remove the bar setup if you ever do need your bed instead of having to remove everything. It's just 8 simple bolts and you have full bed use. As for Rooftop tent, on Black Friday I bought a Skycam Mini 2.0. We'll go over this in a little bit more in depth here in a minute. But otherwise, I'm running sliders from Jace out of South Dakota. You can get in contact with him on the Nissan Frontier Club forum or on Facebook. They're a full weld together set that we did here. And then running a Borla exhaust on the truck also, just for a little bit more noise. Obviously, there's not really much power, gains from that. But we'll move on to the tent now. As you can see, we are sitting in my iCamper SkyCamp Mini 2.0. Looked at a bunch of different brands on Black Friday and actually decided on this one, even though it was on the higher end of the range for pricing that I was looking at. Give you a little bit of description on it. The footprint of it when opened is 83 by 51 inches. As you can see, it should hold 2 people pretty comfortably. As you know, I'm just married, me and my wife, and then we have 2 dogs, and they're both on the smaller side, so they should be able to handle anything that we need. It has a skylight and it has weatherproof windows. That was one of the things that I did like about it. That's another reason why I bought it. But the biggest thing was the weight. I'm big about keeping weight down on my truck, and this thing all in weighs 125 pounds. So that was by far the biggest reasoning for me buying this. The biggest drawback to this tent that I could tell when I first bought it was it does not have any LED lights in it, whereas most brands in this price range come with them. This one did not, but as you can see, a $15 strip of LEDs from Amazon takes care of it, and it runs off just a basic power supply. Another nice feature about it is, as you can tell, probably seen in videos before, but it has a graphic of the world on it. I think that's a pretty nice touch. The one thing that is different between the 2.0 and the 3.0 is 3.0 has a thicker mattress. I may upgrade in the future, but as of right now, I'm going to sleep in it first, take it out a couple times before I decide to do that, because that's an extra $400 or $500. But yeah, so that's the tent, why I chose it, and we'll move on to Chad's truck now.
What's up, guys? This is Chad at All Dogs Off-Road, and this is our 2023 update on our trucks. I think you just saw Kyle do his, and now it's time for mine. This is my 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X. It is currently Titan swapped on Fox 2.0 shocks front and rear. It's a prototype suspension. My truck was the first third gen Frontier that has been Titan swapped, and I think in the next couple weeks I'll have had a full year running this specific suspension. SBC upper control arms, and I'm running modified lower control arms. I'm running my absolute favorite tire right now, which is the Kenda Cleaver RT. It's a 33 by 10.5 R17, and it's a fantastic hybrid between an all-terrain and mud-terrain. Day in and day out, it's probably been the best tire I've ever owned. Some Baja Designs Squadron Sport up front. I'm running CBI ditch light brackets. Those are what are holding the Baja lights on there. I haven't really wired up the switch yet. It's kind of dangling on my dash, but I've got a nice little rocker button. I just haven't had time to put it in yet. Not very visible, but I'm running a Wii Boost for cell phone signal reception. You can see the antenna sitting up on top there. And typically for radios, I'm currently running a Baofeng for my GMRS. For armor, I don't yet have rock sliders. I've been kind of slacking on building a set, and I may just end up buying a set somewhere. I'm currently running Esper aluminum skid plates. They were very kind to send some out to us a while back so that we could test fit to the third gens. Basically, they sent us the plates, and then we took them and fitted them to the truck, made some modifications, and then sent that feedback back to Esper so that they could adapt it and then support the third gens themselves. So that's everything for the front. Let's go check out the back. So in the rear here, I'm running Fox 2.0 shocks. I'm running our parabolic leaf springs in the rear, and I'm running some CJD adjustable shackles. So that's kind of what's giving me my lift in the back. Aside from that, there's not too much going on. For the back, I got kind of a minimalist design. I've got some heavy metal off-road bed bars, really simple, really clean. And then I've got a RoofNest Condor Overland, which is their hard shell aluminum rooftop tent. So we're all set up. This is my RoofNest Condor Overland, and I got this a little late in the season, so I haven't had the opportunity to put a lot of nights in here yet. I'm coming from an old soft shell ARB rooftop tent, which I liked quite a bit, but this is much fancier. The layout is a little bit different than what I'm used to. My old ARB tent was a little bit wider and maybe a little bit shorter. So this is narrower but longer, so you get a lot more foot room, which is really nice. But it's a little bit squished when you've got 2 adults and then 2 dogs, and we do bring the dogs up here when we're camping out. So all in all, I like it a lot. It's really fancy. You got a skylight, you got your windows left and right. And actually, this has a built-in LED light strip. So there's a little USB here, and you just plug it in, and then you flip your switch there, and then it's good to go. You can do a little strobe light action there if you want to. The mattress pad is very comfortable, and it's really nice and sturdy. Had it in fairly windy conditions, and it's pretty decent, pretty quiet, and it's nice thing too is it's very dark. So if you were to zip everything up, you know, if you're trying to sleep in the morning, the sun isn't going to bother you, so you can get a good night's rest. As far as specs go, I'm going to read off because I can't memorize all this a little bit, but it is on the heavier end for a rooftop tent. This is about 165 pounds according to the manufacturer info. The interior space, when it's all opened up, is going to be 84 inches in length by 55 inches in width. Max headroom, when open, it says 50 inches, which sounds about right, but keep in mind you've got a slope, you know, when it's open, to where it's much taller back here than it is up there. The Condor Overland came with a ton of fancy extras. It came with its own changing room, came with shoe bags, and then there's even stuff still here that I haven't even, you know, made use of yet. There's a sand-free mat that hasn't even been opened. So RoofNest, they got a lot of details, and they've got a lot of extras that go into this tent. So like I said, I haven't put a lot of nights in it yet, but I'm really looking forward to the spring once it warms up, putting a lot of use to this tent. So this truck is pretty far along in its build. There are still a few things that will probably happen in 2023. One thing, from having put the Titan swap on this truck and then put it to the test doing a lot of wheeling, we've identified one shortcoming, and that's the rear shock mount where it attaches to the axle is pretty low hanging, and it's really susceptible to getting dragged on rocks and that sort of thing. So at some point, probably this springtime, I'll be cutting the factory shock mounts off and welding them up a little bit higher to net some clearance. Beside that, we may do a re-gear on this truck to 4:10 ratio or similar. Still kind of working on the details of that right now. But other than that, this is the build for 2023, at least the start of 2023, and as we progress through and make modifications, we'll definitely bring you guys along. So that's it. That's all I got. It's an intro.
It's an intro.
Happy 2023, fam.
This is Kyle. Sweet, you're good at this.